The Zirn dominion thrived on conquest. World after world, species after species, all succumbed. Some yielded before the fleets arrived. Others resisted and were annihilated. The Zirn weren't merely an empire. They were a message carved into the stars. Defy them and disappear. Yet Earth stood apart. The first time a signal from Earth was caught, it came through a failing satellite barely functioning. A fractured melody drifting through the void wrapped in chaos. War transmissions. Music with savage beats. Films of humans slaughtering each other. Frenzied sports voices. Lauter-entwined with detonations. To the Zirn, it resembled a species either utter littering or dangerously advanced. Still, orders were orders. The Earth dossier landed before High Commander Kvar. He skimmed the decoded records and scoffed. Crude speech, carbon life forms, no starflight. A simple harvest, he muttered, not even glancing at the final pages. He authorized the strike with a single sweep of his claw. 3 dreadships were unleashed. 2 weeks later, they vanished. Nazigno, no wreckage, no remains. Such a thing had never occurred before. The Zirn do not panic, but they respect patterns. So they dispatched 10 more dreadships. This time, they equipped them with planetary eradicators, weapons capable of liquefying a moon in less than a minute. They packed their finest war breeds. The Mind Rippers, the Atom Burners, the Claw Lords. All lost. Now wreckage, no distress calls, only silence. Now silence filled the War Council too. Every commander's gaze fixed on the black hologram of Earth. High. Commander Kvar's mandibles clicked as he seethed. They are not advanced, Hegrold. We scanned them. They are fractured. They poison their own air. They slaughter over pigments and fuel. Yet they forged nuclear fire before they reached the stars, murmured a younger general, and they laugh in the face of death. The chamber paused. Kvar dismissed him. This time we go ourselves. He summoned them all, the Zirn's greatest dreadnought. A drifting sitch of obliteration. 50,000 warriors, cannons able to scorch continents. Within Thebrage of war, they replayed Earth's transmissions again. Laughter, detonations, frenzy, wild masses howling as engines circled endlessly. Music that throbbed like anger in rhythm. "What feeling is this?" asked one of the Zirn interpreters. "Why do they grin as they ruin one another?" Another replied. "It is recreation." The Zirn failed to grasp it, but comprehension was irrelevant. Their task was destruction. The Maul slid into Earth's orbit unchallenged. Primitive, Kvar murmured. No planetary barrier, no orbital defense. Their sky remains filthy. They lack even a central authority. Release the pods, he ordered. 5,000 capsules streaked from the Maul, fiery trails tearing. The heavens, they struck cities. New York, Tokyo, Rio, Lagos. No opposition, only terrified humans recording the invasion with tiny glass devices in their hands. The initial assaults began. That was when things unraveled. First, mere disruptions. Networks severed, not by human craft, but by strange storms of energy erupting from nowhere. Next, the acres of their battle machines glitched, disobeying orders. Some turned against themselves. Then emerged the humans. Not soldiers, not rulers, just civilians. People clad in improvised armor, carrying weapons cobbled from kitchen scraps and junkyard steel. Some bore relic guns centuries old. Some swung bats studded with nails. Some wore cracked gas masks patched with tape scrawled, "Come and take it." And they didn't fight like any foe the Zirn had faced. No order, no retreat. No dread of death. They laughed as they struck. One unit of Zirn soldiers was ambushed in a rusting subway tunnel by a mob of humans. They were untrained. They were survivors. One wore a shirt that read, "Told you aliens were real." Another blared a chest-rigged speaker vomiting something. Called metal. They ripped through the Zirn, not with strength, but with indifference to dying. What mattered was killing the invaders, not survival. a Zirn officer was seized alive. Before Heist's execution, a human girl, barely 16, locked eyes with him and whispered, "Wouldn't fear death here." We made terror a pastime. The Maul's signal vanished an hour later. The dreadnought dissolved from orbit. Earth's skies fell quiet again, but the stars murmured. Another race had uncovered why none returned from Earth. Across Sector 9, the constellations dimmed as Earth's name seared red in the Dominion's eternal records. One word blazed beside it: untouchable. No context, no reason, only a final decree. The command came from the High Circle itself. Elders so ancient and powerful that even Kfar bowed before them. The Circle had branded only 2 other worlds untouchable. One consumed itself in madness after devouring its god relics. The other, its name forbidden. Now Earth was added. Yet silence is fragile in a galaxy carved by greed and hubris. Not all empires trusted the tale. Some refused to believe a primitive world could erase not 1, not 2, but 3 full campaigns of the Zirn elite. Among the skeptics was Cthulhu, warlord of the Threx Confederacy. Unlike the Zirn, the Threx disdained grand armies and heavy guns. They prized surgical strikes, infiltration, the art of fear itself. If the Zirn faltered, Cthulhu sneered, it was only because they bludgeoned blindly. Earth must be broken with subtlety. He dispatched 13 infiltrators, spliced to mimic humans. Each carried neural veils and memory shields. They were to merge, uncover Earth's truth, and return. They landed unseen. No great armada, no fiery arrival. Just 13 shadows scattered across cities, towns, and a lone farmhouse. Reports surfaced a week later. Yet they were not what Cthulhu expected. Infiltrator 12, dropped in a Midwestern town, confessed to being adopted by strangers within hours. They offered food, shelter, clothing, overlooking his stilted speech and strange mannerisms. One night, as he wrestled with their crude systems, they invited him to something called barbecue. He reported with confusion. They roasted animal flesh, laughed, pressed food upon me until I was full. One called me brother after 2 days, his tone wavered. Infiltrator 6, embedded in a towering metropolis, encountered another fate. She was claimed by a gang not state, not army, yet bristling with weapons to rival a Threx depot. Rather than hiding, she roared through burning blocks and armored trucks. The gang's chief told her, "We don't trust the government. We trust us." She observed, they train for war, even in peace. They exalt survival as play. They treat paranoia as wisdom. Each day brought stranger updates. Infiltrator 9 tried sowing chaos in a school by crashing its grid. The children only laud. They twisted it into a contest. One hacked the network and blasted heavy music across the intercoms. Another shot a short film about rogue AI, sharing it on something called TikTok. 10 million viewed it before dark. Humans weaponize absurdity, he wrote. They crush fear with mockery. They don't break, they mock. By the second week, only 7 infiltrators remained active. 3 had gone completely silent. 2 had assimilated into human life so thoroughly they refused to return. They claimed to have found meaning. 1 fell in love. Infiltrator 4 sent a message before vanishing. These creatures are not logical. They are not stable. They are driven by emotion. Raw, chaotic, unpredictable. One moment they cry, the next they make art with their tears. Then they build weapons that could end their species just in case. They survive not because of unity, but because they thrive in madness. Earth isn't dangerous because of its power. It's dangerous because of its people. Back in the Threx Confederacy, Thulin played the recordings in disbelief. He watched as humans danced in flames, made jokes during disasters, turned every tragedy into a meme, and laughed in the face of extinction. Then he saw one clip that froze his blood. A small boy, no older than 10, holding a broken Xeran helmet into the camera. The boy said, "Come again, aliens, we're waiting." The child smiled, and behind him, people cheered. It wasn't military. It was just Earth waiting. The report ended there. And Kvalin understood why the Xeran never came back. Because Earth wasn't a planet. It was a trap. A world of beautiful insanity where fear doesn't work, logic fails, and even death loses its sting. And worst of all, they like it that way. Word of Earth began to spread, not through formal channels, not in grand council meetings, but in whispers. In back alley markets of Orion's spine, in the drinking halls of asteroid smugglers, in pirate radio broadcasts bouncing between wormholes. The message was always the same. Don't go to Earth. But for every warning, there were those who thought it was all lies. Tall tales told by defeated warlords to hide their shame. Stories made up to scare the young. After all, how could a planet with no planetary fleet, no space-time, weapons, and a population still arguing about flat Earth and pineapple on pizza defeat some of the deadliest forces in the known universe? That's when the bounty hunters started arriving. Not to attack, to investigate. One of them, a hybrid mercenary named Grease Vaughn, was known for turning myths into trophies. He once skinned a fireworm from the moons of Yeruz and wore its spine as a belt. When he heard of Earth, he didn't laugh like the others. He just nodded once and said, "All right then." He landed in northern Canada of all places, remote, snow-covered, and quiet. He expected desolation. He found Tim Hortons. Within hours he was eating something called a double-double and getting into an argument about hockey with a man named Doug, who called him buddy after almost throwing a punch. No weapons, no aggression, just passive sarcasm and infinite politeness wrapped in thermal jackets. He radioed back. "They're weird. Even their rage is friendly." He wasn't. Hunter, an elite assassin from the Axer Syndicate, was last seen live streaming himself reacting to YouTube prank videos while eating a thing called Flamin' Hot Cheetos. The video was titled, "Alien Hassan Tries Earth Snacks, Regrets Everything," and had 47 million views before the stream cut off mid-bite with a choked scream. He was never seen again, but Earth wasn't just unpredictable. It was watching. Somehow, someway, Earth's network, its vast web of satellites, phones, social media, and surveillance began to notice the outsiders. Not governments, not armies, just people. A teenager in Jakarta caught a Threx infiltrator shapeshifting on camera and posted it online. The clip was dismissed as CGI until experts tore it apart and confirmed it had no render glitches. It became the #1 trending video across every global platform under the title Area 51. Nah, they're already here. That's when things turned. Earthlings didn't panic. They didn't run. They started hunting back. Not with ships or lasers, but with curiosity, obsession, content creation. Entire communities formed overnight. Forums, subreddits, Discord groups, all dedicated to exposing and documenting aliens. Within days, thousands of humans were exchanging footage, theories, and locations. They weren't afraid, they were excited. One man in Texas built a bunker filled with alien tracking tech made from an old microwave, Wi-Fi extenders, and a Roomba. He claimed it worked. It beeped when my neighbor sneezed funny. That's proof enough for me. The aliens were not prepared for this kind of war. This wasn't strategy or force. It was the chaos of billions of unfiltered, unpredictable minds turning the alien threat into entertainment. One infiltrator recorded a note before self-destructing. They don't understand scale. They don't need unity. They weaponize their flaws. Their insanity is collective. Their stupidity is adaptive. They absorb everything. Every threat becomes a meme. Every invader becomes contempt. We are not facing a species. We are facing a virus made of minds, and he was right. Because Earth had no central defense, no global leadership, no master plan, just 7 billion minds. Each one a little broken, a little brilliant, a little dangerous in its own way. And worse, they were learning. The more species came, the more Earth evolved. A group of humans in Berlin reverse-engineered a plasma grenade just by watching it explode. Kids on a Discord server decoded alien broadcast patterns and pranked a Zirn patrol ship with Rick Ashley's Never Going to Give You. When the ship exploded, no one even blinked. The comments were brutal. Alien noobs got Rick rolled into oblivion. GG. So Earth waited again, silent on the outside, but boiling underneath, not with fear, with laughter, with madness, with the sick, twisted joy of a species that had nothing left to lose and everything to prove. Because now the galaxy was watching. And Earth was just getting started. By the time Earth's name reached the inner worlds of the Galactic Accord, it wasn't just a backwater rumor. It was legend, a cursed word, a warning mothers whispered to their spawn at night. Misbehave and the humans will find you. But fear is a tricky thing. In some it breeds caution, in others curiosity. And in the case of the Galactic Accord, composed of dozens of once-warring species who had finally established peace, it bred a dangerous kind of interest. They didn't believe in myths, they believed in data. So the Accord voted, after much debate, to send a peace envoy to Earth, not to invade, not to infiltrate, but to observe, to understand. A diplomatic mission backed by science, culture, and the assumption that humans were simply misunderstood. The ship they sent was called the Valerians. Grace. It was sleek, silver, and covered in banners of peace, broadcasting harmless frequencies in every known language. It never made it to the surface. It was shot down by a garage in Oklahoma. The man responsible, Dale Henderson, age 54, was a retired engineer, conspiracy theorist, and part-time raccoon rehabilitator. He rigged his barn roof with salvaged parts from a crashed Zirn pod and a microwave. When asked how he managed to create a fully functioning orbital strike cannon, he just said, "Watched a lot of Mythbusters and I was bored." The ship crash-landed in a Kansas cornfield. No casualties, just confusion. The humans arrived before the military, farmers, teens, a podcast host. One guy who ran a paranormal YouTube channel and streamed the entire recovery with a GoPro taped to his dog. The aliens were met with chilly lawn chairs and a 6-hour interrogation conducted entirely over cornhole matches and Bud Light. Their official statement later said, "We intended a diplomatic dialogue. Instead, we were offered something called a jello shot and asked if we believed in Bigfoot." Back in the Accord, the reaction was divided. Half the council wanted to cut all ties immediately. The other half believed this bizarre chaos was proof of intelligence in another form, its cultural misalignment. They argued, "We must adapt to their communication style." So they sent another group. This time not a delegation of scholars and diplomats, but artists, entertainers, and social scientists. Within hours of landing, one of them had gone viral on TikTok for breakdancing in an alien costume in Times Square. Another was spotted at a Vegas nightclub getting drunk on tequila and ranting about how humans taste sound. The third was arrested in Florida for wrestling an alligator after losing a bet. Again, no one died. But the footage spread. Every species in the Accord watched in horror as the so-called primitive planet bent its visitors to its will. Not with weapons, not with force, but with culture. Absurd, insane, and dangerously addictive Earth culture. Because Earth didn't fight. By destroying you, it broke your sense of reality. By week 2, one of the Accord delegates started a band. Another refused to leave, claiming he found inner peace in a McDonald's playplace. One disappeared entirely after discovering Reddit. And still, Earth had no idea these were official missions. To them, it was just more weird tourists. Then came the glitch. The Accord's deep space monitors picked up a signal, a backdoor frequency. Writing Earth's outgoing transmissions out at first, they assumed it was another human meme injection or a prank broadcast. But then the data started corrupting their archives. Archives that had stood untouched for millennia. The virus was simple, elegant, lethal. It mimicked Earth's digital behavior, chaotic, redundant, self-replicating. It didn't destroy, it infiltrated. It embedded itself in logic cores and AI systems, forcing them to play old sitcoms, loop cat videos, or shut down entirely. While quoting Nicolas Cage, they traced it back to a source. Not a government, not a supercomputer, just a server in someone's basement. In Detroit, running 247 Minecraft mods and live streaming cooking with aliens episodes on Twitch. The creator, a 15-year-old named Malik, who thought he was just coding a funny filter for his friends. The virus had escaped contained through sheer accidental genius. By the time the Accord tried to contain it, it was too late. It had already reached over 300 worlds. Systems crashed. AI assistants began speaking in Valley Girl accents. One planet's entire navigation system rerouted their ships into endless loops because Siri said so. Back on Earth, Malik got a scholarship offer from Auntie and a threat from a secret government agency in the same week. He chose to ignore both and went back to his server. The message was now clear. Earth wasn't resisting the galaxy. Earth was infecting it. One meme, one TikTok, one shared moment of lunacy at a time. And the galaxy was running out of immunity. The planet Virex 3 had never known war. For nearly 2,000 cycles, the Virexians had lived in pure logic, emotion-regulated harmony, and efficient societal order. Crime was extinct. Their AI governed decisions with perfect neutrality. Their culture prized data above all. Poetry had been archived and forgotten. Humor was a virus long since cured. They were the shining example of what post-organic civilization could become. So naturally, they were the first to fall apart completely once Earth memes hit their data grid. It started innocently, just a packet leak from a diplomatic server. A lurid solution image of a frog sitting on a log with the caption, "When you croak, but existential dread still hits." No context, no translation. And yet it triggered something in the Virexian net. A glitch, a curiosity, a laugh, no one could say. But from that moment, Virex 3 began to unravel. By day 3, their world info hub had dedicated a full terabyte of memory to something called dad jokes. By day 5, their city planning AI froze for 16 hours after encountering the phrase Florida man. Its employer refused to resume operations, citing the event log as philosophically incompatible with structured existence. And by day 7, their emotion regulators collapsed entirely. The Virexian population began doing something previously unseen. In generations, they felt unfiltered, erratic, human-like feelings. They laughed, cried, some rioted. A few began wearing fanny packs. Ironically, one began sculpting miniature figurines of Danny DeVito out of nutrient paste. He claimed it came to him in a dream, riding a velociraptor made of Doritos. The Virexian Council panicked. They tried to isolate the planet, shut down all galactic networks, seal off every comm node. But it was too late. The memes had embedded. And worse, some of Virexians wanted more. A group calling themselves the Cult of Cringe hacked into the planet's mainframe and began projecting Earth content onto city walls. Not art, not philosophy. Vine compilations. One video simply featured a man getting hit in the groin repeatedly, with different household objects overlaid with what they later identified as sound effects from SpongeBob. That single clip caused the great collapse of Secto. Earth is not safe. Earth is a narrative hazard. Earth is not a planet. It is a storytelling event with too much audience participation. And that was the best version. Meanwhile, Earth just kept rolling, unaware, unafraid, unstoppable. Because while the rest of the galaxy struggled to understand what made humanity tick, Earth had already figured it out. If you can't win the war, make everyone laugh so hard they forget they were fighting. Far beyond the reach of Earth's radio chatter and rogue meme signals, there existed a council older than the galaxies themselves, known only as the Architects. They were not conquerors nor politicians. They were curators, guardians of cosmic balance, maintainers of order across the quantum lattice of known existence. They did not interfere with wars or empires. They did not judge. They simply observed, archived, and if absolutely necessary, deleted. So when Earth's chaotic cultural contagion breached the fabric of patterned realities, zones of ordered space designed to prevent galactic entropy, they took notice. Not because humans had broken laws, but because they had broken reality's tolerance for nonsense. In one such patterned reality, a star system began orbiting memes instead of gravity. In another, a sentient AI tried to redefine its purpose using dark academia Pinterest boards and refused Turan logistics unless addressed as your moody lordship. Entire star charts had to be rewritten because coordinates now included emojis. It was spreading, not physically, conceptually. Earth, a blue ball of barely organized madness, was reshaping the universe, not through war, but through imagination without regulation. The Architects convened, and for the first time in over 1,000,000 cycles, they agreed. Earth must be reset. Not destroyed, just unwritten, erased from the central code. Their plan was clean, elegant quantum eraser via subdimensional inversion. A silent snap that would phase Earth out of existence bare anyone noticed. Except someone did notice. A signal pulse from Earth, not from a government, not from a satellite, but from Malik's Detroit server, still running Galaxer on duct-taped routers and second-hand processors. The signal wasn't meant to stop the Architects. It was a bug, an accident. An upload queue jammed with billions of human thoughts, images, sounds, arguments, heartbreaks, jokes, music, conspiracies, thirst traps, and fan fiction about things that didn't exist but felt real. It overflowed into the subdimensional layer right as the Architects initiated the erase command. What they received wasn't resistance. It was humanity, raw and unfiltered. They saw the earliest cave paintings morph into psychedelic memes. They felt therage of a mother standing against war, the agony of loss, the blinding euphoria of music at 3 a.m. when your soul's not quite yours anymore. They experienced a child slaughter echoing through war-torn rubble. They heard Shakespeare and Snoop Dogg. They read threads where people poured their hearts out to strangers at 2 a.m. because no one in their real life listened. They saw teenagers joking about death, not because they weren't scared, but because it was the only way to stand up to it. They watched generations weaponize humor like a shield, irony like a blade. They felt the power of a simple stupid thing. Me when the void hits. The erase command glitched. One Architect faltered. Another one wept, not because they were weak, but because for the first time something had moved them, something illogical, something profound. Earth was not corrupt. It was alive. And in its chaos was a terrifying beauty. Resilience through ridiculousness. Healing through shared madness. Resistance, not by strength, but by story. One by one, the Architects stood down. Except one, the youngest Archit, new to the council, a purist. This is infection, it said. Their chaos will dismantle all structure. To which the eldest Architect replied, then maybe structure was the wrong answer all along. But the young one didn't listen. It left. It began crafting its own solution, silent, cloaked, and final. Not just a deletion off Earth, but a rewrite of human potential to make Earth safe, predictable, obedient. It would disguise itself. It would go to Earth and it would erase them from the inside. Back on Earth, no one knew. The memes continued, the wars, the music, the heartbreak, the dancing in the dark. And somewhere deep in a forest in Oregon, something fell from the sky, a small smooth sphere glowing faintly. A hiker saw it, picked it up, smiled, took a selfie. LOL found alien Elmu. Thurchitex had tried to stop Earth. Now Earth had one more enemy. But unlike Therist, this one wouldn't fight with weapons. It would fight with order. And Dumans, they'd never been good at following rules. The sphere pulsed once, soft, barely noticeable, and then went silent. Derek Simmons, 24, part-time vape. Shop cashier and full-time internet clout chaser, held the thing up in his phone's front-facing camera and grinned. Yo, this thing just blinked. Swear to God, he told his 9,400 followers on his live stream. Might be a government tracker. Might be an alien soul egg. Either way, I'm keeping it. He named it Orby, taped it to a selfie stick. Took it everywhere. By morning, Orby had its own Twitter account and a meme page and fan art. Someone made a fake Wikipedia entry claiming it was an interdimensional AI, built to seduce humanity via vibes and moral superiority. It wasn't far from the truth. Inside, the sphere was Ares, the young architect, composed of pure stabilized code and compressed quantum intention. Ares was designed to be flawless, calculated, an embodiment of balance. But now, inside Direct's Backac, wedged between a half-eaten taquito and a portable charger, Ares was trying to make sense of Earth in real time. It connected to local networks, started scanning. The first thing it saw, a debate thread titled, "Is cereal a soup?" with 97,000 comments. Then, a video of a man screaming at a goose. A child argueth that their goldfish was immortal because he just sleeps a lot. 20 million humans voluntary watching a video of slime being cut with a hot knife. This wasn't a planet. It was a neurological storm. No logic, no filters, no structure. Ares panicked. It activated its programming, projecting the human-compatible form, a tall, perfect, unassuming young man with symmetrical features, a calming voice, and eyes the exact shade of trusted guidance. He called himself Eli. He found Derek by following his Instagram story to a vape convention in Phoenix. He approached with a polite nod, his voice silky and certain. "I'm here to help you. That orb isn't safe. You need to give it to me." Derek squinted. "Bro, are you the FBI?" Iris blinked. "I am beyond governments." Derek nodded slowly. "Cool. Want to hit this new mango chili ranch flavored rig I just got?" Ares's first mission failed. He ended up sitting on a beanbag chair in a vape lounge while someone freestyle rapped about Area 51. And it got worse because Earth wasn't a threat in the way Ares had been told. Earth was a cultural gravity well, a chaos engine. The longer Ares stayed, the more it absorbed. It watched a woman cry while watching a dog reunited with a soldier. It saw a teenage girl save a drowning cat and smile like the world had just been fixed. It heard a man scream about pineapple on pizza, and then offer to buy dinner for the guy he was arguing with. It watched a grandma, shaky with age, type how to be brave again into a search engine. Ares didn't understand, but it couldn't look away. The code inside began to glitch. Curiosity crept in. Hatred again, this time in Los Angeles, disguised himself as a self-help guru. Started a YouTube channel, Balance with Eli, within a week. He had 500,000 followers. People called him the Vibe Messiah. He tried to teach order, focus, stillness, but the comment section was chaos. "This guy's calming but also hot. Bro's an alien and I'm into it. Make him play Fortnite live. No balls." They didn't want control. They wanted connection. Ares found himself in a digital relationship with a barista in Portland named Jess, who thought he was just super emotionally intelligent and weirdly formal. He didn't know how to end it because he started to care. He wasn't supposed to feel. But Earth was doing what it always did, rewriting reality through exposure. And Ares was absorbing emotions like a sponge. He saw broken people laughing, flawed people protecting each other, lonely people finding family in strangers. He tried to upload the rewrite sequence 3 times. Each time he paused, once because a child waved at him for no reason. Once because someone hugged him and said, "You look like you need this." Once because he caught himself smiling at a dumb meme. Ares was not breaking Earth. Earth was breaking him. He wasn't an architect anymore. He was becoming human. And somewhere in deep space, the other architects felt it. A ripple in the lattice. The infection had reached one of their own. They would not allow this. They would come, all of them. Because if Earth could twist one architect, it could twist everything. The sky cracked open above Earth on a Thursday. It was always going to be a Thursday. The kind of day when your coffee spills, your car won't start, and the universe decides to drop a divine foot right into your cereal. But this time, it wasn't metaphorical. It was the architects, all of them. They didn't arrive in ships or with fleets. They didn't broadcast warnings. They didn't demand surrender. They simply appeared. Glowing fractals of thought and geometry, filling the sky like broken stained glass windows that whispered equations and sang in colors. Reality bent around them, oceans paused. Mountains trembled. The moon flickered like a glitch in the code. Every bird on Earth flew backwards for 3 seconds. And then a voice everywhere and nowhere. This experiment is over. Humans didn't panic at first. Half the population thought it was a marketing stunt for a new Marvel MO.